Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're building Knights and Snow White, the Fair-Hearted. This character gains resist +1 for each other Knight character you have in play, so definitely a strong payoff in a Knight's deck. She's a 3 quester for 5, unfortunately uninkable, but there are some pretty cool Knight payoff that got released with Shimmering Skies. The other one that I'm quite interested to try out is the 7 Dwarves Mine. It's a cheap location to put in play, only costs 6 hit points. That's pretty decent. Gives you a pip of lore, meets the basic requirements. And during our turn, first time we move a character there, do 1 damage to any chosen character. If we move a knight, it's 2 damage. A 2 damage ping, that's pretty decent, especially off of a location. So if you're on turn 4, you can play the location, move a knight, and then boom, you've added threat to the board and did a bit of damage. So those are kind of the 2 main payoffs for knights. Oh wait, there's another one that's quite interesting. Mr. Dopey here, who's a 2/2 for 3, and whenever we play it, if we have another knight, do 1 damage. So it's all about pings and resistance. A lot of combat-based things with the knights. So let's take a look at all the knights that we have available. Right over here. So, first one of interest. Well, we have the 7 Dwarfs Knights, but they're not all great. Happy's a 1-drop, so I'll be happy to include it into the deck. Cinderella is a very powerful knight, especially when we combine the knight in training with her more powerful form, the Stouthearted. So I'll be playing a full play set of both Cinderellas in this deck. Then as we look, Doc I really like. Gives us some card draw, especially when our hand gets empty later in the game. Also 1/3 Knight fits into our deck perfectly. Sleepy, well, that feels kind of useless. Grumpy, well, honestly, we're a little limited in terms of knights. We're going to be playing full play set of Grumpy. I mean, he does give our knights at a location more resistance, and he can challenge evasive characters. Watch out, Diablo. We've got your back not covered. Yeah, so some good options there. Bashful doesn't do very much. And when we get to Sneezy, again, the same thing. I'm not impressed by those. And then we're kind of all out of knight characters. Certainly not playing Sir Hector or Goofy for reasons that should be obvious. They're too expensive and don't provide much value. Which then brings us to, what's our second ink going to be? And I decided to go after Sapphire. Now, second choice would have been Amber, because Amber gives us access to Snow White. That gives a discount on all of the 7 Dwarves, which means that we get 1, 2, 3, 4 very cheap characters and get them undercosted. And maybe even then we get to play some of the Amber Dwarfs, and it's a Snow White and 7 Dwarfs type deck, but we're not playing with the Knights as much. So I wanted an extra Knight, and Anna Truehearted is a pretty good character, as we've seen before, so we're going to be playing her in a full play set. It's also key to note that Cinderella is a hero. So both of our Cinderellas are heroes. Snow White, also a hero. So some of our knights double up as heroes in the deck. So then we're going to be adding up some heroes to our list. And some of the stronger heroes are the Robins. So Robin Hoods coming to town. Gives us a good answer to aggro with the shift. So now between the pings of the location and the Robin Hoods and the Cinderellas and Dopeys, we should have a pretty good answer against the aggro matchup. Which brings us to, how do we want to close out this list? Well, let's take a look at what we have so far. Have pair of 1-drops, Some nice 2s. Our 3s are fine. Could use an extra 4. And our top end characters are alright. We do need a bit more card draw. So we're going to add a powerful hero, nice inkable beast tragic hero, and a full playset. We're going to add a single whole new world. It's a great card when it's timed right, but multiples is really not great. We already have the docks, and now we have the beasts to help us draw some cards. Actually, let's tone down those beasts to 2. Since we are playing some heroes and we're missing a 4-drop, now it's probably a good time to let Mr. Phil shine. Oops, accidentally clicked wrong ink type. Phil very good with heroes, good at getting that extra piece of lore or 2 to end the game. Just some nice abilities. It's going to get inked a lot of the time since we prefer Anna, but still. It's nice to have the option. And we need 9 more cards. I kind of want some extra removal here. Since we're playing a lot of 3-drops, I'm going to be playing 1 copy of Let the Storm Rage On. 2 copies of Let It Go, as it's inkable. Strength of Raging Fire, because it's inkable and it's singable by 3. That will include a full playset, which means that we're missing 2 cards to wrap up our list. Oh yes. The other powerful song that's a get out of jail free card, better grab your swords. To round out our removal. So now our removal, we have 1 Let the Storm Rage On, 2 Grab Your Swords, 2 Let It Goes. We have the 4 Strength for Raging Fire, as well as the location, 7 Dwarfs Mine, a full playset of Dopey. Actually, this deck just seems very well equipped to deal with these hard, aggressive decks. We don't have any rush characters, but we do have a lot of tricks, a lot of removal, and some nice combative characters. Very weak to Madame Medusa with Beast, Robin, and Snow White all being 3-powered. But hey, we're probably doomed against Ruby Amethyst anyways. So, all that remains is to see the deck in action with some games coming right up. Let's get this party started. We are black, opponent is red. We are getting to start first. 5-1. And we get Phil, Anna, Strength Raging Fire, Tragic Hero, Snow White. That's 5, 6, 7. Grab Your Sword, and a Knight in Training Cinderella. Alright, we definitely want Cinderella and a Snow White. Anna is probably the preferable one as the 4-drop. So that's good. And then what else do we keep? We probably send away Grab Your Sword. Phil, well, we don't need Phil and Anna, so we'll send that away. And keep Strength for Raging Fire and the Beast. Just to make sure we have some inkables. So send back 2, and we replace them with another Strength for Raging Fire and a Robin Hood. Seems good. And we gotta go first. So we're gonna ink that Strength of a Raging Fire and play our 1-drop Robin. Passing the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws. Opponent inks the Queen. 1-to-1 ink count. And plays Miss Cinderella. As we get the turn back, we pick up Dopey. Highlighted card right now. We're gonna ink Beast Tragic Hero. And land on turn 2 Cinderella. We draw a card and then discard a card. So we draw into Cinderella Stouthearted. She would be on 5. I mean, kind of want to try out the Snow White. But Cinderella's another pretty solid option if we get to shift her. They're both our options on turn 5, so I guess I should discard one of the two. I'm gonna discard Cinderella, mostly because I want to try Snow White. And, well, we can quest with Robin. No problem there. We'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent picks up a card. Opponent goes to ink, World's Greatest Criminal. Not great in this matchup as we're playing Steel. And plays the Bubbling Mate, Mr. Smee. And Cinderella doesn't get a quest. No, she's just going to stay there, stare at us as we take the turn back. We pick up another Beast Tragic Hero. Probably want a Dopey here. So I say we ink the Strength for Raging Fire. And go for Mr. Dopey. We have Cinderella Knight in training, so we do have a Knight, which means we get to do 1 damage to chosen character or location. We'll deal 1 damage to Mr. Smee. Not most impactful of damage. I guess it allows us to go to quest with Cinderella and Robin Hood. Let's go to 3. And I'll pass the turn back. Opponent picks up a card. Opponent inks a Benja. And it's going to cast Aerial Spectacular Singer. Looks at the top 4. Oh, and there's no hit. That's good. Good for us. And Mr. Smee is going to go and take out Robin. Cinderella still not in good position to quest, so the turn passes right back to us. So we pick up Grab Your Sword. Fortunately uninkable, which means we need to ink our Tragic Hero at this time. To land Anna. Fortunately, Dopey is not a hero. I should highlight Anna. Oh, there's a lot of Annas. Truehearted, whenever she quests, our other heroes get +1 lore, and Cinderella is a hero. So now we want to be a bit more careful with our Cinderella, especially since the opponent has Aerial. So we're just going to pass the turn back. Opponent picks up a card. Inks a Robin. Opponent goes Prince Naveen, which gets to cast for free, and then along came Zeus. Goodbye, Anna. Your presence was short-lived. And Ariel gets the quest. Opponent has 2 cards in hand, matching our 2 cards in hand. And turn passes right back to us. So we find a Phil. We're going to ink Phil. Go to 5 and play Snow White. Fair-hearted. Let's see what Snow White has to say. Let's show this one. 3/5, 3 quester, and she gets resist +1 for each other knight we have in play. So she's a knight herself, so right now she has resist 1 thanks to Cinderella. And that's it, really. I think we want to quest a Dopey here. Dopey is not overly great. Oh wait, no, Dopey is a knight. What am I saying? Dopey is not a hero, but Dopey is a knight. That's why we're playing Dopey. So Snow White has resist 2. So I guess we want to keep that resist 2. We'll just pass the turn back. Opponent draws a card. Opponent inks a Mr. Smee. Goes to what is now 5. Simply gonna land a Robin. No whole new world to swivel our hands into the discard pile and trade them for fresh ones. None of those shenanigans happening. Now it's kind of an odd spot for the opponent. Naveen's can't really quest. The opponent quests with everything. We have very damaging combats. That's not great for opponent. So I think the opponent just stands still and passes the turn back. As we find another Dopey. Dopey's interesting here. Gives our Snow White resist 3. And we can grab your sword with Snow White. And with Dopey we can take out Naveen. Kind of like this play. So Dopey pings Naveen for 1. And Snow White, now with resist 3, is going to grab your sword. 2 damage to everything. Maybe we could have milked it and take a little longer. But that's a lot of damage. Cinderella and Naveen go down. Then we have our 3/5 resist 3 on the battlefield as we end the turn. Opponent drawing. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. 2 are 0. Opponent gets to play the Queen. That's a big stat booster. Then what? I think Robin can quest, but then Snow White has a free challenge on Robin. That's probably fine because it's preventing Snow White from questing, and Robin has the card draw on death. So I think Robin wants to quest here. Passing the turn back to us. We pick up 7 Dwarves Mine. This is going to be pretty good. Let's play it. So 2 ink to put the mine in play. And basically, the first time we move a character there, if it's a knight, we deal 2 damage. If it's not a knight, we deal 1 damage. But all of our characters are knights. So we'll move a Dopey there. Pay 2. Dopey is now in the mine. We get to deal, the first time you move a character. It's not for each character. Well, still good. So I'll move Dopey, and we'll deal 2 damage to, oh wait, no. Sorry. Combat. Snow White damages Robin, 3 damage to Robin. Move Dopey to the Dwarf Mine, 2 damage to Robin. And Robin, if I'm not mistaken, says if it's banished in a challenge, you may draw a card. Since it got destroyed by 7 Dwarves Mine, opponent draws nothing. Nada. And with the Queen on the battlefield, she could give +4 to a character. So that Ariel can actually swing for 6. She can take down her mine. So I think we just quest with our 2 characters here. Try to bait a challenge on our characters. If the opponent challenges our characters, we're fine. We take out Ariel. We damage Queen, which we can then take out with the 7 Dwarves Mine. Snow White's still safe. So that's going to be my play. So we pass the turn back. Opponent's on 5. So opponent's gonna hardcast Strength for Raging Fire, taking out Cinderella. So our opponent has 2 characters, so that's 3. And then Dock. Opponent also has some dwarves, discards nothing, draws 2 cards. Interesting. Opponent's out of cards in hand. Out of cards in the ink. It's going to ink a Robin. Queen's going to quest. 5 of 5. Remove all power from Dopey or Snow White. I mean, hitting Snow White for 6. We have resist 2 right now, so it'd be 4 damage to Snow White. That seems potent. Yeah. So -4 to Snow White, +4 to Ariel. Ariel's going to swing at Snow White. Probably needs to take down her mine. I don't know. I don't know. Let's swing to the mine. Take down that 7 dwarf mine, which is unfortunate. But if we get a bunch of triggers off of that, we're very likely to win the game. Turn passes back to us. We pick up another 7 dwarves mine. That's convenient. 2 to play it. Dopey's going to move to it for 2. Deal 2 damage. Take down Ariel off of the ping. And Snow White, now it resists 2, is going to challenge Queen. Take 2 points of damage along the way. Queen goes down. And Doc being 1-3, I guess we get the quest. And Dopey still gets the quest too, even though he's at a location. And I forgot. No, we just played it. Sorry. We do gain 1 lore at upkeep for our 7 dwarves mine, but not right now. We just played it. Passing the turn back to the opponent, who draws a card, inks a card. Robin Hood. And that is 7 ink for our opponent. Opponent's gonna hardcast a whole new world. Drawing a midful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So still 2 ink available for our opponent. Ooh, and that is not a good pickup. Opponent's gonna play Cinderella and the Queen and pass the turn back. We have actually, yeah, Doc can just do nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for us. Actually, maybe I'll move my location to the side. Robin, Cindy, Phil, Doc. Actually, this way. That way we have Doc, Phil, Cinderella, Cinderella, Phil. Interesting. As you're ready, our gang, and draw for the turn. Draw a Doc. Not exactly what we're hoping. And we're on 5, so we need to ink something. We have a bunch of Cinderellas. We don't need 2 Stoutheart, so I'll ink 1. Go to 6. We can still use the 7 dwarfs mine to ping if we want to. Actually, we gain 1 lore off of that. Start of the turn. Tempted to go Phil small Cinderella. So Phil, boosting the power of our heroes. And whenever we play a hero character, we gain 1 lore, followed by Cinderella. I guess I can highlight Phil. Pretty cool card. And then Cinderella, Phil triggers, so Cinderella draws a card, discard a card. It's going to be one of our extra Docs. And we gain 1 lore off of Phil. And we're out, because that's our 6 ink. Snow White now has a lot of resist. It's going to quest for 3. Go up to 12. We have a very threatening amount of lore right now. So I'm going to quest with the Dopeys. Go to 14. Especially with a Phil on battlefield. Then we'll pass turn back. Opponent draws. The opponent has found a grab your sword. I think they have to cast it. Hard cast. Not what the deck wants to do, but grab their sword. Wipes out Dopey, Cinderella, Dopey. And at that time, Snow White had enough resistance not to get damaged. Still lost 3 characters. Opponent has 2 ink left. Is going to ink a Bare Necessities. 3 left. He plays a Spectacular Singer. Looking at top 4 cards. Finding some good action. They have 3 cards left. The opponent picks up a whole new world. Got to keep them cards coming. Cinderella gets to sing Let the Storm Rage On. 2 damage to Snow White. And opponent picks up a card. Fortunately, Snow White has lost all resistance because Phil's an ally, but not a knight. And Doc's gonna go and trade with Cinderella. That last point of damage. And Queen's gonna go poking at the seven dwarfs mine. 2 damage to that. Our turn. We gain lore from our mine. Pick up a card. Find a Robin. Alright. What do we want to do here? Vox and Knight. So we could go... No, well... We could go Doc. Then we Dopey. And because there's a Knight on the battlefield, Dopey triggers pings 1. If we can keep Ariel off the board, we can keep the opponent from the free whole new world. The other option is... Well, we can actually already quest for 2. So if we have enough heroes... We have another hero character? Just the Robins. We could go all in, ink a card, play a second Phil, gain the lore off of Phil, trigger quest for 2, go to 18, and then dock and hope we find a 1-drop Robin. Who would be a hero? Nah, that's too risky. Feels risky. I think I prefer the slower play. Well, let's start by inking one of our Robins. Don't need 2 of those. Making it to 7. I kind of like that removal play. That leaves me with very little left. I would have gotten rid of my dock. Otherwise, I can just let the 7 dwarves mine go down. I can also keep it alive. I mean, if Phil challenges the queen and we use the double triggers on Ariel, we'd have 2 characters, keep the mine. That's difficult for a Songs player to come back from. Opponent with 4 cards in hand. Otherwise, well, gotta make a play. Gotta make a play. I'm gonna go with Doc. No trigger. You may discard your hand. I choose not to. I'm gonna play Dopey. I have another knight. I get a ping for 1. Ping Ariel. So that's 2 plus 3. And I have 2 left to move Dopey to the 7 dwarves mine, which deals 2 damage to Ariel, taking her out. That's the power of 7 dwarves deck. Taking out ready characters. Let's take out the queen because I don't want the opponent to shift. And I have anything that's a 5-singer available. And on that note, we'll pass the turn back. 1 draws. Opponents on 8. Inks of Bare Necessities. Make that 9. Opponent is going to Naveen a whole new world. Naveen's seeing a lot of airtime. That's a little unfortunate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wish he would have gotten that much airtime when I was highlighting his deck. Alright, 7 cards for opponent. We'll draw our 7 afterwards. Opponent still has 5 ink available at their disposal. Cinderella is going to sing Let the Storm Rage On. 2 damage to Dopey. Then we'll pick up a card. 5 left. Opponent's going to ink a Benja. 6 left. And that's going to be Alan, Dale, and Mr. Smee. Allendale was the top deck off the Storm Rage on. Not a misplay. And the turn passes back to us. We gain a lore off of our mine. And we draw 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a draw for the turn. So we have a mid full of cards. We found another 7 dwarf mine, which can be pretty fun. Also have Robin. Where's our fill? Where are our fills? Also have Anna, which is quite threatening. Have a lot of pings. Not that much place. 2, 4, 6, 7. I'm gonna ink one of the small Robins. Make that 8. Just need to apply a bit more pressure with characters that are hard to remove. Something like a Robin Hood should be pretty difficult for the opponent to remove. Actually, we can even go with the... No, I was going to say the shifting plan. There's always trend for Raging Fire. That's a bit troublesome. But I think Robin's a good play here. Maybe we play a bit of removal too. Could always go double Robin. That's 6, move Doc. Take out Cinderella. Making a strength for Raging Fire just that much harder. I think I'm going to go for that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Ping Cinderella for 2. And quest for 1. Let's go to that 17. I'll pass the turn back. 1 draws. Lots of fun math. So the opponent needs to take down one of our ready threats, must take down our mine, must take down Doc. And that's our opponent's hand. Can we do it? I think Ariel needs to hit something. So let's start with that. 3 for Ariel, Spectacular Singer. So that hand just doesn't have quite enough. Well, there's no removal in there. And opponent most certainly needs removal. Opponent finds nothing. Which means Naveen's going to have to sing Whole New World. Yep. I think so. Whole New World. Let's wheel again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent finds. Then along came Zeus and led the Storm Rage on. Also, 1 point of lore off of Alan Dale's trigger. Might as well highlight Alan. Opposing side of the board, but still fancy chicken. So opponent now has some songs. Not enough characters for Let the Storm Rage On. And then along came Zeus isn't powerful enough to take down Robin. And there's a 2 singer and a 4 singer. So Smee can take down Doc. Alan can sing Let the Storm Rage On. Actually, where do the damage need to go? We need 4 damage on the mine. Need 3 damage on the Doc. So Smee's going to challenge Doc. That's pretty much given. And end of turn, Smee's going to take another point of damage. Now our opponent has used 3 ink. There's 3, 6, 7 available. Opponent still hasn't inked anything. Actually, opponent should have inked something. Let's say that small queen. Before singing the Whole New World. Doesn't overly matter. But we still have this. So there's 8 available for the opponent. Alright, so actually there's plenty of ways to get out of this. So Alan's going to sing, and then along came Zeus on the 7 Dwarfs mine. Taking it out, gain a point of lore off of Alan's ability. Now that's the point in the video in which you should ask yourself, which deck do I actually want to have win this game? Trying to play too well on the Ember Steel songs. Well, the Storm Ray John's going to get hard cast and take down our Robin. Opponent picks up a card. Another whole new world. Not the best here. And with 5 available, opponent needs to try and make something happen to win the game. So it's going to land a Robin, and turn passes back to us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and draw for turn 7, and draw for turn 8. All right. Well, Robin can quest and bring us almost there, almost, but we're still a tad short. Still think we should quest, right? Oh wait, no. His ability, whenever we challenge, we can gain 2 lore off of the challenge too. So you don't have to quest. Probably want to take out the chicken. So let's challenge and take out the chicken. Take 2 points of damage, gain 2 lore off of Robin's ability. Still a strong card, Mr. Robin. And we are at 8. Probably don't need the small Robin. Actually, I'm going to send a Happy away. Slightly weaker. We're on 9. On Storm Ray John seems like a fine play. Take out Mr. Smee. Pick up a card. And that's 3. I wish I would have had that Dopey before. Still have 6. 1, 4, 6. It's not enough because I can't move to the location. So maybe that's going to be for next turn. Maybe we just go 4 for Anna. And then Robin Happy. Stop that opponent. And we pass the turn back. Opponent's readies. See what Ember Steel has. You kind of need to grab your sword. So I think it's a whole new world yet again. Well, ink something. Well, now on 12 ink. Strength of a Raging Fire is going to be cast by Robin, taking out our Robin. But no card draw. And then Naveen, Ariel is going to sing. No, let's play the other Ariel first. Having 5 singers is advantageous. And maybe there's a grab your sword right here. There's not. There's another one came Zeus or a strength for Raging Fire. Both are pretty much the same. Opponent will pick up. Then along came Zeus. Ariel is going to sing it, take out Anna. Naveen's going to sing a whole new world. And everything gets discarded. Yet again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent finds a mid full of cards, including the famed Grab Your Sword. So opponent's going to cast Grab Your Sword, taking down our last remaining characters. That's 5. With the 4 remaining, guess it's going to be a Mr. Smee. Then passing the turn back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Card draw for the turn. And we've picked up a Phil. So we get to close out the game with Phil. And then all we need is a hero. Snow White will be our hero of choice to close out the game off of the Phil trigger. Oof, that was exhausting. And Snow White and her 7,000 dwarves with a handful of heroes managed to seal the deal and close out the game off of really kind of a nail biter. The opponent was starting to get a pretty big board and was going to close out the game in two or three turns if they can keep on singing removal and quest for 5 or 6. Then we're really like 2 turns away from Ember's Steel overcoming the lore deficit and winning the game. But Phil was timely, allows us to win, although a Cinderella Stouthearted would also have been pretty hard for the opponent to remove, except for this little fellow. World's greatest criminal, but we did it. We won the game. This was actually pretty awesome. I hope you've enjoyed it. All right, let's go to game number 2. We are black, 6 to 5. We gotta go first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a pair of Dwarfs mines. 1 dock, which we don't overly care about. Cinderella's pretty nice, and Grumpy, not the best dwarf, but still gives us another knight to play. So I think we're going to send dock away, and that'll be it. And we find a nice Snow White to add to our arsenal. So that's pretty good. Turn 1. Let's ink that tragic hero. Maybe I should put it here. And do nothing, I guess. So I'll pass the turn back. Opponent draws. Opponent inks an aerial spectacular singer. 1/1 in terms of ink. As the opponent lands a cursed merfolk. We draw. We find another dock. Not really what we are looking for. And against what appears to be a control deck, an aggro deck, sorry. Complete opposite of what I meant. Well, I think I want to ink away Strength for Raging Fire. We go to 2. I'll get the land. Cinderella, Knight in Training. Draw Anna, and we discard our dock. Don't really need it this early on in the game, as we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent picks up a card. Opponent's going to ink Flynn Rider in favor of a bodyguarding Simba, with the merfolks going in for 2. Whoa, 2, not 3. You're good, cursed merfolks, but you're not that good. As turn passes back to us, pick up a Dopey. Dopey is fantastic here, actually. Let me re-highlight Dopey. If we have another knight in play, whenever it enters battlefield, we ping anything for 1. I do like the mines in this particular matchup, so I think I'm going to ink Anna. Going to 3. And we get to play Dopey. And Cinderella is a knight, which means that Dopey triggers. We get to ping 1 to the cursed merfolks. And off it goes. I kind of just want to keep my knights up. So I'll pass turn back to the opponent. Picks up a new card. Simba number 2 gets inked immediately. As the opponent opts to play Diablo Devoted Herald. Passing the turn. Actually, Simba can quest. Then turn passes back to us. We pick up another Snow White. Well, in this particular scenario, I want to ink my Grumpy, go to 4, and then do some fun stuff. 7 Dwarfs mine enter the battlefield. And when I remove a character there for the first time during our turn, we get to do 2 damage to an opponent character as long as it's a knight. So we're going to move Cinderella to the mine. Boom! Goodbye, Diablo. And that's our 4 ink for the turn. I guess we could just pass the turn here. Opponent draws. Opponent is going to... ink a Piglet. Because it's not great in this particular spot. And our opponent is going to go after the Muses into the battlefield. With Ward, it's a bit more problematic. Opponent does want to get rid of our 7 Dwarfs mine, so Simba's going to go and challenge it. And we get the turn back. Robin's going to get inked, so we reach our threshold of 5. Although it's quite tempting to just try to protect our 7 Dwarfs mine. We could play another mine and just move Dopey to this mine, move Cinderella to the other mine, and ping out Simba. Actually, that... No, we don't have enough ink. So I'll go with plan B. Snow White. All our 5 ink into the leader of the 7 Dwarves. And I guess that's going to be our turn. Actually, we gain 1 more off of the mine. Can't forget about that. Or, not in a real game. Passing it to our opponent. I mean, tournament game is what I should have said. Opponent is going to sing Mother Knows Best using the Muse, bouncing back Snow White. Muse's trigger. Dopey's gonna get sent back. And our opponent still on 4 is gonna land. Muse is number 2. Simba's gonna go and poke the 7 Dwarves mine. Yet again. Turn passes back to us. We gain 1 lore off of the mine. And we pick up Whole New World. One of our few copies. The Muses are a problem for this deck. Otherwise, with the 2 7 Dwarves mines, I mean, I'll show you. Our opponent's sitting with Diablo and Ariel. With the 7 Dwarves mine in play, Diablo does nothing. It's just dead on board. Just pew 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 pew. Diablo goes down every time. But the Muses having Ward is a big problem. Preventing us from wombo comboing. Oh, we're still going to replay our Snow White. And I think that's it. I'll pass the turn back to our opponent, who's super amused. Opponent finds and sings Lost in the Wood. Both our characters lose 2 power. Both Muses trigger. Our characters get bounced back as Simba gets to take down our 7 Dwarfs mine. The game where we looked unbeatable is suddenly not going so well. Muses Quest. And turn goes back to us. I guess I should highlight Muses since they're doing so much work. I thought this was going to be a perfect highlight for deck and the opponent wasn't going to be able to do anything. But I figured if I was going to ink the Muse, someone would have told me in the comments. And honestly, if I was playing this deck, the Muses would be my answer. So back to us. We find a Robin. We're going to ink that. Going to 6. Not an overly nice place to be. I say we just try our Snow White again. Eventually she's going to stick. Back to our opponent's turn. Opponent goes Ariel. Spectacular Singing. Finds You're Welcome. Or Lost in the Woods. I mean, they're both pretty decent options. But You're Welcome gets rid well, I guess Lost in the Wood gives us less cards. So I'm going to undo that and pick the Lost in the Woods. So Lost in the Woods. Weaken, double Muse trigger, bounce back into our hand. Opponent gets the quest for 2, going to 6, and that was 3. Last point of ink is going to be Daisy. As the turn passes back to us, find a Robin, going to ink that Robin, going to 7, and on 7, we're going to go Cinderella. Draw, let it go. We're going to discard a whole new world. We don't need cards, and our opponent has 1 card in hand. And we're going to replay Snow White. I think it's the 4th time this game. Just keeps getting the bouncies. His turn passes back to our opponent. What a midful of characters. Come on. Opponent sings Mother Knows Best, bounces back Snow White. Muse's trigger, bounces back Cinderella. That's the opponent quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to 11 with a Daisy Duck trigger, which gives us another Cinderella. Midful of cards, but nothing we can overly use. And that was a song, so opponent gets to land a Diablo. Opponent is now empty-handed, but has a board fully filled. Turn passes back to us. We find Happy. Yeah, I'm not happy about this situation. On 7, let's ink one of those. Well, actually, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll have to play another turn. I mean, we can play the mine. But even if we play Happy, move Happy, it still costs us 5 to do that. I guess we can then play a Dopey, ping something for 1. Not great. I think we just land stuff. So ink Cinderella. Let's go to 8. And let's go Snow White, Cinderella, Happy. So we're going to do Cinderella first, just in case we pick up something. Let's discard one of our Snow Whites. Go Snow White, Happy. That's our 8 ink. Turn passes back to our opponent, who is looking pretty solid. Opponent picks up a Daisy, so that's going to come on board. Diablo gets the quest. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent goes to 18. Daisy triggers. We find an Anna, pick her up. I need to double read Daisy. Whenever a character quest is, if it's character card, we put it in their hands. So that's not a card draw, does not trigger Diablo. Turn passes back to us. Opponent is on the cusp of victory with a Daisy at ready. We find a Dopey. Honestly, I don't think we have enough. We need to ping down a lot of characters. Opponent draws 1 off Diablo. Well, let's get this party started. Let's go with the mine. Move Happy to the mine. That's 4 ink used. 2 damage to Diablo. Goodbye. Bye-bye, birdie. I'll have to challenge Simba first. So Snow White challenges Simba, takes no damage. Yeah, that's about what we can do. We can ink an Anna, go to 9, and then shift to Cinderella, and go and take out Daisy, because Daisy's been giving us some trouble. And that's about all we can do, as we'll pass the turn and lose the game on the backswing. All-star of the game, definitely the Muses. All-star of the game on our side, 7 Dwarves Mine. That card was doing some serious work until our opponent put in mis-awarded multi-bounce over here, which completely destroyed our game plan. Otherwise, it would have been a one-sided slaughter for us, but I don't know. Yes, they went from 0 to hero and took the game. Let's go to game number 3 here, which is probably going to be our worst matchup. 2-2. Ruby Amethyst control. We'll get to go first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Definitely don't want those docks early. With first play, I probably want to keep that whole new world. And Anna and Phil, well, that's fine. We'll mull these two over. Find another dock. Lots of docks showing up. Guess we need a wharf. Alright, well, this is the boat of cards we have. Yeah, I'm gonna stop now. So let's start by inking Phil. Inked and nothing else for turn 1, passing the turn back. Opponent is gonna counter with an inked Maui and a turn 1 broom. So we get the turn back. We find Robin. Not overly interested in that Robin at this point. Inked. And we'll play Cinderella. Draw a card, discard a card, pick up Happy, discard a dock. And that'll be our turn. Opponent inks a Mim. Doesn't have a turn 2 play, so we get the turn right back. Another Phil. Now we're on turn 3, and we don't have a good play. Cinderella Stouthearted is interesting a little later. We can play Happy. I'm not happy to play that. Although if our opponent's on Ruby Amethyst, 1 willpower or more doesn't matter that much. It's going to give us another target once we have Anna. So let's ink our Phil, land our Happy. And we can... The opponent's in Mim territory, so we're just going to pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent inks Crab. Quests with the broom. Actually, there's no reason to do that. Let's get him in Fox, but let's Sisu instead. As the turn passes right back to us, we find another dock. How many docks is that? That's 3 after we mulligan 2. This card really wants to find us. So we want to get to 4, so we're gonna have to ink Strength for Raging Fire. And we get the land, turn 4 Anna. I don't care about that. I'll just pass the turn back. As now's probably the time to highlight Anna. There's a lot of Annas. 2-4. Whenever she quests, all our heroes get +1. Pretty cool. Opponent inks another crab. 4-4. It's time for friends on the other side. One draws. Ooh, an opponent gets the quest with a broom and then play the elephant, taking back the broom into their own hand. As Madam Elephant has entered fray, and turn gets back to us. We pick up cheap Robin. We're going to ink Robin. We get to 5. Opponent has 6 cards in hand, so we're going to have to take advantage of that. 5 to shift Cinderella. And Cinderella is going to sing A Whole New World. Let's try to catch our opponent off guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And generate a new mid full of cards. And what do we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pair of Snow Whites. It's pretty nice. Can use Anna now, but doesn't seem like a great time. So I'll just pass the turn back to our opponent. Picks up an 8 card. Their fresh new hand. Opponent's gonna ink a Magic Broom. Going to 5. Actually, maybe I can go up to 5 in a row and then open up a second column. Seems like a good way to go. Alright, what do we do for 5? It's not the best hand for 5. So, CCU is now +1 power for each card in our opponent's hand. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess I just let CCU take out Cinderella, which is a shame. And maybe I shouldn't have whole new worlded that way, but it felt right at the moment, which means the elephant is going to quest. And our opponent has 5 ink to do what they please. It's going to be a Queen's Castle and moving the elephant to the castle. As the turn passes right back to us. So now we kind of need to take care of that Queen's Castle, but we don't play much in terms of rush. Have a bunch of Dopeys. But yeah, it's not exactly where we want to be. Opponent's on 5, so there's no threat of be prepared, and we do have an Anna nice and set up. Snow White doesn't fare too well against Mim Elephant. Maybe we just try to go wide. What's the best way? Robin Beast? Robin Snow White? Robin Snow White, maybe. Then you just get to quest at Snow White with a gazillion willpower. No. It's not going to help us much. Let's go for the card draw. So let's go Robin Beast, which means we need to ink something. We're going to ink our Grumpy, go to 6. Then we can 5, 6. And we hold still with the rest. Yeah, then I'll pass the turn back. Opponent draws 2 off of the Queen's Castle, gains a pair of lore off of it. Should have highlighted the castle. I can spell castle. Queen's Castle. There it is. So lots of power on that card for a 4-drop. Opponent's going to ink an elephant. 6 to 6, the ink count. Now it's time for the fabled Madame Medusa. Takes out our beast. We're back right where we started. Madame Medusa, destroying game plans since, I was going to say 1997, but really 2024. Yeah, which year are we at? 2024. Sounds right. Sad when you kind of forget which year you're in. Elephant quests. Passes a turn back. Turn comes back and we find a happy. Not that happy to find it. And now things are not great. I mean, we can commit more to the board. I'm quite afraid of a be prepared, to be honest. Opponent has 6 cards in hand. We can't really fight the elephant. The Madame Medusa is a problem. And our Dopeys are all but useless. So I guess we go with the other play. Snow White, happy number 2. Pass the turn. Opponent gains 2, draws 2. Opponent quests for 2. Goes to 9. And yeah, I think it's that time of the game. Inks the Mim. Nukes the board. Be prepared. We'll have none of these shenanigans. Goodbye, all of your characters. And by yours, I mean mine. Do I need to highlight this? Probably not. But I'll do it anyways. One of the most impactful cards. Be prepared. So you find a Robin Hood. We're on 6. And this is the point where we've lost all hope. We'll land under Snow White, pass the turn back. Opponent goes to 11, draws a card. So another Be Prepared. Opponent goes actually 2, 4, 6. Opponent inks a Queen's Castle. 2, 4, 6, 7. And goes Queen's Castle, Flynn Broom. Passing the turn right back to us. We pick up a Robin. On 6, we do have the option of going double Dopey, taking down Flynn Rider. That's decent. We could even say that's Dopey. Yeah, if we have another knight, which we do. Bye-bye, Flynn. Pew pew. See, take that. That's how we remove Ruby Amethyst. Snow White's gonna quest, I guess. Pass the turn back. Opponent goes to 15. Picks up a card. Nukes the board again. Well, quest for 1. Nukes the board. Because that's what Ruby Amethyst does. Passes the turn back. We have no way of dealing with Queen's Castles. So as we pass the turn, Ruby Amethyst takes the win off of the location. Really, that's not a great matchups for our knights. Our little pings for 1 look a little silly when we're faced with a Madam Mim elephant. And yeah, that turned out kind of how I thought it would. Not a great matchup. I hope that you enjoyed the gameplay. Let's now take a look back and see what went well, what didn't. Well, first of all, the deck is very weak against hard control strategies. Our threats are relatively slow. We don't have high questing abilities. We don't have that many cheat codes to get some extra lore out. We do have Phil that can get a little bit more out, but our threats are we want to build the board, expand our board, and kind of dominate whatever the opponent's doing to our fields with 7 Dwarfs Mine, which against a control deck, go ahead, develop your board, be prepared, and that really just ends us. We can resist Grab Your Sword, though, with all of our dwarf resistance with the Cinderella. Combat-based removal and damage-based removals, not as detrimental, but Madame Medusa, be prepared, just wreck us, as we've seen against Ruby Amethyst. This card here, 7 Dwarfs Mine. I was expecting good things from that card, but it did great things. I really like that card, and I think as we get better knights and maybe a bit more knight support, knights could be a real deck, especially in the hard aggro metagame. If control gets pushed to the corner, this is a nice control approach where you get to continuously ping down the opponent's characters while still applying a bit of pressure, while getting your knights on the battlefield, and eventually just overpower them. Unless they have Mauis or big rush or high stats characters to deal with 7 Dwarfs Mine, you can just keep on pinging for 2 every turn. That's very hard for an aggro deck or a deck with small will-powered characters to deal with. So I've been quite impressed by that. A little disappointed that we didn't win our game against the aggro deck because of those muses. Ward's a problem. Oh well. And we gave quite a good fight against Amber Steel Songs. Overall, this deck is quite reasonable. Besides the obvious weakness to hard control, I think the deck can perform decently well. So you're going to have good matchups against aggro, horrible matchups against control, and okay matchups against the rest of the field. I mean, we do have enough card draws, versatile removal to deal with a variety of things. So this is kind of a tier 2, tier 3 style deck. You can bring it to your Friday night Lorcana, to a hobby store near you, and have some fun. I hope that you've had a great time. Don't forget to let me know in the comments below which one's your favorite dwarf, and should I have included a different dwarf in the deck to make it more Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Actually, are you still interested in seeing a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs variation? And yeah, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe if you haven't. Have a great day, have a great life, and I will see you next time.